All right. Proof again, once again, the steps work.
Yep.
All right. We're on page, I'm told we're on page 157.
Yep. Second paragraph.
And we write about it in the middle of the page. I think I did like the first line of that last week, so that's where we're going to end up starting. And this is the meeting between Dr. Bob and Bill and AA number 3, Bill Dotson, the old lawyer from Kentucky. And you get a chance, read his story in the back of the book. It's called Alcoholics Anonymous number 3. I did not know Bill Dotson, obviously. He died sometime, well, see, Bill Dotson was 19 years sober when he died. So he died in 1954. We have his obituary at Dr. Bob's home. But I know a lot of people who knew him, and I knew his son. He's very, very fondly remembered in Akron, just a regular guy, not a guy that went around saying, was the third member of AA. If you didn't know that, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. Just a guy that went to meetings just about every night, and he helped people. All right. So let's get back to this meeting. And we'll pick up where it says for an hour, because that's where I left off last week. For an hour, the two friends told him about their drinking experiences. So again, we go back to the way the book is laid out, literally the way a 12-step call is done, because the book is the original 12-step call, because it went out in the mail and it did a 12-step call without the benefit of human contact. The book is the original 12-step call, and the book is the original sponsor. The book is the original sponsor. You did not have a meeting to go to. You did not have anybody to sponsor you when they started sending this book out in the mail in 1939. Alcoholics Anonymous did not exist. You had a book. And the way the book is laid out is exactly the way Silkworth told Bill that he needed to approach people. Establish identification with your what? Drunk-a-law. Right? You establish identification. Once you establish identification, and when you're doing that, right, you're talking to the person, they're talking back to you. What are we trying to get? What are we trying to accomplish here? We're trying to get this inside them, not an intellectual thing. I walked around for years with a brain all messed up about, like I might got a drinking problem, I might have a drug problem, I don't know what the deal, right? Just a whole lot of kids. It's not. And if I was in trouble, I would even admit it. Yes, I have a drinking problem because I need your help to get out of whatever trouble I'm in, right? Not that. Here. So we start talking about our experience because I'm trying to get the person I'm talking to internalize this based on what? Based on my experience? No. Based on theirs. That is called identification. And it is the most important thing I do when approaching new people. I don't run at them waving the steps and talking about you need to write an inventory, right? The first thing we want to do is we want to establish identification. I call it sinking the hook. Sinking the hook. And I'll tell you, the more you do it, the better you will get at it. I know when I first started doing it, I was not very good at it. But as time goes on, trust me, the more you do, the more, it's like everything else in AA. Practice, practice, practice. Practice, practice, practice. Then what, Kent? Practice, practice, practice. And that never stops. The more I practice, the better I get. Anything you do in this life, the more you practice it, the better you're going to be at it. Does everybody get that, right? So the more I talk to people, the more I reach out to people. You go to meetings. You see the new people raise their hand. Go sit down, talk to them. Don't go run off to the parking lot with your buddies. Sit down and talk to the new people, right? That's how you learn how to do this. It is the format of the book. I call it the formula. Part 1 of the formula is the establishment of identification. Let's see how Bill Dotson reacts to this. Remember, this is only the second time this has been done. The first person Bill did it with was Dr. Bob. Now we got the second person, Bill Dotson. Let's see what Bill Dotson said. For an hour, the two friends told him about their drinking experiences. Over and over, he would say, "That's me. That's me. I drink like that." Boom. Boom. When he says drink like that, was he saying like I drink scotch like they do? No. He was talking about what they were sharing. I drink when I don't want to. I drink against my will. Once I start, I cannot control how much I drink. It doesn't matter what's going on in my life, good or bad. If I put a drink in me, all bets are off. That is my experience, and I get them to relate that experience to me by sharing mine. When you sit down to talk to somebody, as much as you can, get him, and it says this in the chapter, working with others, get him to talk to you. Get him to talk to you. Get him to tell you about his drinking. Get him to tell you about, I'm telling you, this is how you sink the hook. This is how you sink the hook. All right, let's keep going. The man in the bed was told of the acute poisoning from which he suffered, how it deteriorates the body of an alcoholic and warps his mind. So we got the body working against you, and I got this warped thinking. And I think we can all identify with that. Mm-hmm. There was much talk about the mental state preceding the first drink. What chapter focuses solely on that almost? What chapter in the book?
More about alcoholism.
The mental state that precedes the first drink. The upset. What chapter is that? More about alcoholism.
Bingo.
How many times did I point out to you as we came through the latter stages of the book, particularly to wives and the family afterward? How many times did they say, get the family to read the chapter on alcoholism? That is the chapter they're referring to, more about alcoholism. It will explain many things which up to that point, as Dr. Silkworth said, we could not otherwise account. It will explain many things for which we could not otherwise account. Silkworth said that in relation to the phenomenon of craving. But when it comes to the obsession, the mental state preceding the first drink, boom, it'll explain a lot. Because people are watching it and it doesn't make sense. They don't understand it, right? How can a guy's life be on fire and he's walking into a bar room, walking out of the house to go drink again, right? What is it up here that drives us to do that, right? So the chapter more about alcoholism, right? So and that is a part of our what? Step one information, isn't it? Doctor's opinion, Bill's story, there is a solution, more about alcoholism, step one, right? Crucial information. Right? So they hit me with that. Let's go on. Yeah, that's me, said the sick man. The very image. You fellas know your stuff all right, but I don't see what good it'll do. You fellas are somebody. Now, he talking to Bill and Dr. Bob, right? He don't know them from Adam, right? He said, y'all somebody. Dr. Bob barely hanging on, right over the city hospital. Bill Wilson and Lois homeless, right? But they sober. They sober. That's what he sees. I see somebody that's got something going on here. Y'all somebody. Let's go on. I was once, but I'm a nobody now. From what you tell me, I know more than ever. I can't stop. Now, at this point, it would seem like, wow, this guy may be beyond help, right? I know more than ever. I can't stop. That's the best statement he could make, isn't it? Because he now knows he's what? He's defeated, right? He's at that point of surrender, right? I know I can't stop. Powerless. Boom, step one. They got him. They got the hook some. They got the hook some. Now you got to remember, there are no steps at this point as we know them today. There is no AA. There is no book. These guys are loosely using this formula that Bill got from Dr. Silkworth and the information about alcoholism that Bill got from Dr. Silkworth, and as a solution, the actions that Ebby had shared with Bill from the Oxford movement. Right now, that's all they got. And this is only the second guy, right? So obviously, this is not fine-tuned 12-step work. Let's see what happens here. At this, both the visitors burst into a laugh. Why do you think they laugh? They laugh because they know they got him. They laugh. When he said, I know I can't stop on my own, they start laughing. We got him. We got him. Okay, let's go on. Said the future fellow anonymous, damn little to laugh about that I could see anything was funny. The two friends spoke of their spiritual experience and told him about the course of action they carried out. So part one of the formula was what? The sharing of experience. Get him to share his, get him to identify, sink the hook, right? And they knew they had the hook sunk when he said, I know more than ever, I can't stop. Okay, so now, right, it's just like with step one, right? Step one is like jumping out of an airplane. Step two would be pulling the ripcord on the parachute, wouldn't it, right? So now that we got him out the airplane, we could say, hey, man, there is a solution. Well, we're falling here. What is it, right? We're going to show you how to pull the ripcord. We're going to show you how to pull the ripcord, okay? So what do? Here's part two. The two friends spoke of their spiritual experience and told him about the course of action they carried out. Okay, there you go right there. They told him about the spiritual experience and the course of action that they carried out. So I did this. Some of you were at the workshop we did in Salem, Ohio on Saturday, and much thanks to all of you who were there. I want to take a look at when it said the course of action they carried out, because I shared this on Saturday and I want to share it here tonight. This is the course of action from Ebby to Bill that they shared with Bill Dodson. Number one, I had to admit I was licked. I'm powerless. Step one. He's already done that, hadn't he? He's already done that. Next, I had to take stock of myself and confess my defects to another person in confidence. That would be step 4 and 5. Taking stock of yourself and confessing it to another person in confidence. Step 4 and 5. I needed to make restitution for harms done. Steps 8 and 9. Okay? I had to freely give with no price tag attached. Step 12. I had to freely give, expecting nothing in return. I had to become of service, right? If selfishness and self-centeredness is the root of the problem, unselfishness obviously is the root of the solution, okay? And lastly, and Abby said to Bill, you really ain't gonna like this one. I should pray to God for the power to carry out these simple precepts. And that would be steps 3, 7, 11, right? All the prayers in between, right? So that's what they started out with. And that's what they shared with Bill Dodson when they shared this course of action they had taken. Those 5 things, all right? Okay. He interrupted. I used to be strong for the church, but that won't fix it. Bill Dodson had been a deacon and Sunday school superintendent. And they found that out about him before they went to talk to him. And Dr. Bob said, we felt like Bill Dodson probably knew more about, had forgotten more about the good book than either of us had ever known. He said, we really felt like hypocrites going in there to talk to him. You know, like we got nothing to tell this guy, you know. But Dr. Bob said, but obviously he was flat on his back, and what we had to tell him, Dr. Bob said, fell on fertile ground. And so Mr. Bill Dodson had been very, very active in his church. I prayed to God on hangover mornings and sworn that I'd never touch another drop, but by 9 o'clock, I'd be boiled as an owl. He was powerless. He was powerless. And I would believe he was probably a man of faith, a man of belief, from what I know of him. But he wasn't a man of works, was he? Knowing is not enough, right? Faith that hath not works is dead. Okay? Let's continue. Next day found the prospect more receptive. He told them that first day that I haven't given up on God. God has given up on me. That's how he felt. Bill Wilson said, when he said that, he said we had to retreat. He said we didn't have an answer for that. You have to understand, this is brand new. And when a guy says something like that, Bill Wilson said, we didn't have an answer. We didn't have a response to that. So what they said to him was, could we come back and see you tomorrow? They was retreating so they could try to figure out a strategy to talk to this guy. So he said, yeah, I'd love it if you come back tomorrow. Boy, alcoholics are lonely, ain't they? And when we find people that speak our language, that's the reason why I came to meetings so much. I wasn't working the steps. I didn't have no spots. I wasn't doing nothing in here. But I like coming to meetings because y'all spoke my language. There was always, remember how it used to be, right? I was getting coming to the meetings. Now, that wasn't going to last. But when I first came here, there was no matter what had happened to me during the course of the day, and my days were really crazy in early sobriety with no steps and no sponsor, I felt a sense of relief when I came into an AA meeting. And I couldn't explain to you why. I just did. Wasn't doing what you do, but I did. So when they asked him if they could come back tomorrow, he was like, absolutely. Absolutely. Please come back and talk to me tomorrow. So that's what we pick up. Next day, found the prospect more receptive. Because not only had they been thinking about stuff, so had Bill Dodson. He had a night to pray and think about what had happened. And here's what he said. Maybe you're right, he said. God ought to be able to do anything. Boom. Put a star by that. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Put a star by that. And how did he really come to believe that? Let's just get real. This just was the day before. How did he really come? What was the thing that probably convinced him of that more than anything else? Desperation. The two guys who came to see him. The two guys who came to see him who knew things that only people like us could know. But here's the kicker, man, and never forget this. They were sober. They were sober. And that is a power of example. They were sober. And that speaks louder than anything you can say. It speaks louder than anything you can say. Then he added, he sure didn't do much for me when I was trying to fight this booze racket alone. Now, what does he see? Right? He don't know it yet. What has just occurred? Unity, hasn't it? He said, now I ain't fighting this alone. Right? Now I got some help. I got, boom. So at that moment, right then and there, Group 1 was formed. They didn't know it. They hadn't started a meeting yet. But there's your founders of Group 1, which meets in Akron, Ohio, every Wednesday night at King School. It still meets. Those are your founding members right there. How many of y'all in this room been to King School here in Sandusky? Raise your hand. Y'all need to go to King School, but you can't go as long as you come to this book study. Sorry. It's a Wednesday night. At some point, you got to go to King School. It's really cool. It's really cool. It's just an AA group, and they don't put on no airs over there, but it's a special place. Let's go on. All right. On the third day, the lawyer gave his life to the care and direction of his creator and said he was willing to do anything necessary. So what step did he take there?
3.
There's step 3. On the third day, he gave his life to the care and direction of his creator and said he was perfectly willing. Would you circle the word willing, please? Please circle the word willing. To do anything, would you circle the word anything? Necessary. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it. You see it? Yeah. Okay. That's another of the golden threads that's woven through the book. The willingness to do whatever it takes, whatever the program requires. Not, yes, I'm willing. Wait a minute, not that. I ain't that willing, right? It's amazing how when you go to ask for help, because everybody knows the question, right? What length are you willing to go to? And everybody knows the answer that you're supposed to give, because you hear it all the time. Any, right? Then your sponsor says, be over here at 7 o'clock in the morning. What? I want you to go over to the detox and give that guy a ride to a meeting. Who? Me? Right?
I went 5 miles.
Willing to go to any length to get it. What I like to describe willing to go to any length to get it, and this is really what it boils down to, doesn't it? I'm willing to get better under somebody else's direction. I am willing to get better under somebody else's direction, other than the one who got me in this mess in the first place. Right? All right. His wife came, scarcely daring to be hopeful, though she thought she saw something different about her husband already. He had begun to have a spiritual experience. It was start. This was in 3 days, people. Not 3 years.
He had hope.
God could and would if he were sought. Am I a seeker? Am I a seeker? And remember, I'm not seeking out in the galaxy somewhere. Deep inside every man, woman, and child lies the fundamental idea of the existence of God. Is called the Spirit. And the purpose of these steps is to do what? Awaken, thank you, John, awaken my spirit, right? By removing, right, what is obscuring it. Right? How simple is this? Let's go on. That afternoon, he put on his clothes and walked from the hospital a free man. He entered a political campaign, making speeches, frequenting men's gathering places of all sorts, often staying up all night. He lost the race by only a narrow margin. At one time, he was, Bill Dotson was city councilman in one of the suburbs of Akron. I'm saying Kenmore. And he eventually is drinking, you know, he drifted away from all that stuff, as well as his law practice, as well as the church. And he got sober and got back into life. He started living again. Said, I'm going to run. So he ran. And he lost by a narrow margin. I got this highlighted. But he had found God, and in finding God, had found himself. And he found the answer within, not without. He found the answer within. How? By taking those actions that came from Ebby to Bill to Dr. Bob, now to Bill Dotson. That's how. Keep it simple. You know how simple this is? This is not calculus. This is not calculus. It's really just that simple. I know I came in here wanting to make it more of that. Well, that don't make sense. That's too it's got to be important, right?
Sounds like algebra.
My sponsor would tell me, just shut up and do what I told you. Right? I said, I'll do it, but I don't believe it. I don't care. Just do what I told you.
I never told
And I would do it.
you.
And then it would work, and then I'd have to admit to him that it worked.
Yeah.
Right? But that's how it goes in here. Let's go.
I might.
That was in June of 35. He never drank again. Bill Dotson never drank again.
Love it.
He too has become a respected and useful member of his community. He has helped other men recover and is a power in the church from which he was long absent. So you see, there were 3 alcoholics in that town who now felt they had to give to others what they had found or be sunk. So, what do they realize? We got to give this away if we want to keep it. It wasn't like, oh, okay, I got my groove back. I'm running for city council again. Law office is back open. The shingle is back up. I'm over here at the church again. All these things are true, but let me ask you a question. What made them possible? What made those things possible? Is sobriety, correct? Remember the old saying, don't overlook the giver of gifts for the gifts that he gives you. Do not take the blessings that come about as the result of having a relationship with God in this program and put them in front of the God who gave it to you. Because if I do, they will be gone.
That's right.
They will be gone. So they know they got to go work with others. I tell you, these guys from the 40s and 30s and 40s and 50s they set an example for us. not only of how to do 12-step work, but I'm going to tell you, these were some 12-stepping son of a guns, buddy. That's exactly what they were. Dr. Bob, 5,000. Bill Dotson, his line of sponsorship runs all over Stark County and Summit County to this day. Bill Wilson, good Lord, how many? Clarence Snyder over in Cleveland, who I still say is the 12-stepping son of a gun this program's ever seen. These guys work with thousands of people. I ask a question right now. A lot of people listening to me right now. Who you helping? Who you helping? I used to call Bill after work every day, and I'd read him my list of grievances for the day. And trust me, it was a pretty long list most days. And I would tell him how I had not been treated respectfully and people hadn't cared for me the way they ought. And he'd listen. And after I get done, he'd say, who you helping? I'd say to him, I don't believe you heard me. This is serious. I want to read this to you one more time. And I would read again through my list of grievances. And he would say to me, who are you helping? Click. End of conversation. Okay? Because what he knew was that when I was actively engaged trying to help somebody else rather than thinking about myself, my calls to him were entirely different. They were about helping other people, having a good outlook. I had a good day. Listen to what I'm trying to share with you. When I'm not trying to help anybody else, when it's about me, I'm complaining, I got a bad attitude, I got a bad outlook on life, I'm full of fear. Who are you helping? If you haven't figured it out yet, this isn't for you. You only get blessed so you can be a blessing. If you're here to get yours, get it, go, good luck.
I like that.
I've seen it done a lot. I only share my experience. Hadn't turned out well. Doesn't work for me. And I certainly have my bouts of it. Self-pity, right? What you just said to me before the meeting, how much Sam that we said how much working with other people keeps me in front of me, keeps God's will active in my life. It is the problem reducer. If I had to get up in the morning and think, just get up in the morning and sit in a room by yourself. I sit in a room by myself, I just start spiraling down, right? I never spiral up when I'm in a room sitting by myself. Lord, leave me in there for 20 minutes, right? But oh, if I'm in the room with you, it all disappears. And it disappears to say really nothing anyway, is it? God couldn't, would, or he was sought. God is everything or else he is nothing. God either is or he isn't. Both our choice to be. If God is and God is everything, then what I got to worry about? This too shall pass. Been sober a long time, a whole lot of stuff done pass. This too shall pass. When I think about you know, like in the old science fiction movies, they would have a ray gun that would shrink something inside. That's what it does. All of my so-called problems shrink while I'm focused on serving God and you, which incidentally is the only job I got. Let's go on. After several failures to find others, a fourth turned up. He proved to be a devil-may-care young fellow whose parents could not make out whether he wanted to stop drinking or not. Now, his story is in the back of the book as well. And this young fellow was Ernie Galbraith. Ernie Galbraith. And Ernie Galbraith's story was, well, and I'm a third edition guy with a 7-month slip. But Ernie Galbraith, this devil-may-care young fellow, married Dr. Bob's daughter, Sue. And Dr. Bob was not thrilled with this. How'd you like to have somebody whose fifth step you heard marry your daughter? Dr. Bob was not for it. They stayed married a long time, and it was not good. Ernie Galbraith did not stay sober long term, and I did not know Ernie Galbraith, but I knew Sue. And when I asked about him, her face got dark, and she wouldn't talk about him. The Galbraith family has been they've been very good to Dr. Bob's home, with which I have the honor of being affiliated. And they have given us a lot of stuff that belonged to him, and some stuff that's kind of important to AA that he had. So his family is to this day is very good to us. But Ernie Galbraith was a piece of work. But this is his story. He suffered horribly from his sprees, but it seemed as if nothing could be done for him. He consented, however, to go to the hospital, where he occupied the very room recently vacated by the lawyer. He had 3 visitors. After a bit, he said, "The way you fellas put this spiritual stuff makes sense. I'm ready to do business. I guess the old folk were right after all." So one more was added to the fellowship. But you notice it doesn't say he never drank again. Doesn't say it, because he did. So that was the 4th member in Akron. All this time, our friend of the hotel lobby incident remained in that town. He was there 3 months. He now returned home, leaving behind his first acquaintance, the lawyer, and the devil-may-care chap. So Bill returns home after 3 months. He spent 3 months in Akron. And it's good to know that during those 3 months, his wife Lois got on a train, came from New York, visited Akron, and met Ann Smith. Ann Smith was already working with the families of these guys already. Okay? So when Lois goes back to New York, she too is armed with some information that later would result in the founding of the Al-Anon family groups. But all of that she learned from Ann Smith when she came out to visit during those 3 months. She was not working with families in New York, because nobody Bill had worked with in New York before he came to Akron and got sober. So she had no families to work with, and I don't know that it was even something she was thinking about. But she came to Akron, and she got that initiation into helping the family recover. Okay, so all of this occurs in the first 3 months. Okay? The first 3 months. Let's continue. These men had found something brand new in life. Though they knew they must help other alcoholics if they would remain sober. This is going to sound almost like heresy in here, but I want you to follow this. That motive became secondary. The motive of what? Staying sober themselves. How could that become secondary? I'm working with others so I can stay sober, but the motive becomes secondary. It can only be secondary to something involving the spirit. Let's go on. It was transcended or eclipsed, if you will, by the happiness. Circle the word happiness. They found in giving themselves for others. Boom. What is it that happened to them that transcended even, well, I'm staying sober doing it? The awakening of the spirit and the joy and happiness that can only be experienced through giving. God's will for us, maximum service to God and people about us. And there is something that happens in here that can only happen through doing that. I could sit in these meetings for 50 years and never experience it and stay physically dry. It is of spirit and it defies definition. Dr. Bob used to say the two things that human beings seek are happiness and peace of mind. That from the day you're born, it's almost like the divining rod. I said this at the workshop Saturday. Happiness and peace of mind. We are people who, through a series of our own personal histories, sought happiness and peace of mind chemically. Right? Alcohol and drugs, right? Self-will, control and manipulation of the world around us. Where did that get us? Tell you where it got us, right here where we are tonight. That's where it got us, right? Doesn't work, right? What the founders are talking about here is the true key to happiness and peace of mind. And it only comes through giving of ourselves to others. I have the privilege of sponsoring a lot of men in Alcoholics Anonymous. I sponsor some really happy guys. And I sponsor some guys that ain't so happy. And I can tell you the difference between the two because I have personally experienced it myself. When I am not actively engaged in doing something for somebody but Kent, when my focus becomes Kent, it goes away. When you become my focus and seek a knowledge of God's will for me, which is to serve you and the power to carry it out, my life blossoms and there's a level of happiness, peace of mind, contentment, serenity that, and I use those words because those are the most common ones, But what it really feels like, I can't even describe it to you. It's too good to be able to describe. Recovery is experiential. Sitting in here, reading books and philosophizing and trying to sound profound ain't gonna get it for you. A new Cadillac ain't gonna get it for you. A new house ain't gonna get it for you. Another college degree, another promotion, another relationship is not gonna get it. I'm sorry. I'm only sharing my experience. I could be happy living in a tent. What I'm talking about is of spirit. It is not material. Spiritual living and the benefits and the blessings of it cannot be measured with a material yardstick. I'm quoting my friend Ralph. You cannot measure the grace you receive here that with a material yardstick. You can't. I'm not knocking material stuff. I hope you get all you can get. But I know that the value of it only comes so that it positions me to be able to help other people. I was thinking about my friend. I have a friend, Mari, and Mari used to live next door to Bob Marley. And she said that Bob Marley used to say, if it be only for I know want. If it be only for I know want. And he used to open up his compound and invite Kingston, Jamaica, and he'd feed the whole damn Jamaica. I mean, that's how he was. And that's how he had so much. And the more he had, the more he gave. And I always think about that when I read this. It is. They told me when I come here, it's a wonderful way of life. Let's just leave it at that, right? And I would think, how do you get that? How do you get that? I'll tell you how I've learned it. And this is just what I've learned. I get that by giving to you. It's the only way I know. All right. They shared their homes, their slender resources, and gladly devoted their spare hours to fellow sufferers. Listen, this happened at the height of the Depression. And Bill Wilson used to say he believed it was providentially arranged for that to happen. He said, we didn't have, no one had anything. It wasn't like everybody went off back to their big careers. No one had anything. Sue used to talk about coming in the front door when Bill was staying with them, and Bill would be sitting in there eating peas, cold peas out of a can with a spoon. We didn't have anything. When the people would come over to the house, the early 80s, it was potatoes. It was a potato festival. Everybody had potatoes. We had mashed potatoes. We had French fried potatoes. We had potato soup, right? No one had anything. So it was at a time when everybody was so painfully aware of the needs of everybody else. They just shared with one another. And Bill used to say he believed that this happened during the Depression. He said, I believe that was providentially arranged because it drew us together to help each other in a way that we might not have during prosperous times. They were willing by day or night, please highlight this, to place a new man in the hospital, and here's the kicker, and visit him afterward. Don't give the guy a ride over to detox, drive him off and say, good luck, best luck to you, hope things work out for you, right? When I first started taking guys at detox over here at Firelands Hospital, we go on 12-step call, and then they would say to me, that's your guy. That's your guy. Cornelius would know that he remembered. That's your guy. So you find out what kind of cigarettes he smoked. You get him some cigarettes up there. You get him a big book up there, right? That's your guy, right? And you go up there every day and see him, every day and see him, right? And so when he get out of there, right, what have we done? What are we doing, right? Up there sharing our story, right? Sinking that hook, right? When that man come out of there, he ain't walking out of there into nothing. We're there to get him over to the meeting, get him going, right? When was this thing most successful? When was Alcoholics Anonymous enjoying 50% at once, 25% after a little bit of messing up, and more people go 80%, 85%, 90%? Oh no. When were we? When the entranceway to this fellowship was through the hospital, where they had, just like they did these guys, they came in, right? But you saw Bill Dotson take the first 3 steps in 3 days. When he left there, he was already connected. He had a sponsor. With Dr. Bob and Bill literally sponsored Bill Dotson, right? So he had sponsorship. And they said, okay, let's go find some more. He's connected to a crew. They've given him the 3 days. Man never drank again. Is there something to be learned from that? Is there something to be learned from that? I think so. So in those days, put a man in the hospital, visit him afterward. Visit him after. Let's get him going. Or you ladies, get her going. Whatever we got going. All right? They grew in numbers. They experienced a few distressing failures, but in those cases, would you put a star by this? Because again, we go back to wives and the family afterward, and literally another of the golden threads woven through this book, the family. They made an effort to bring the man's family, excuse me, into a spiritual way of living, thus relieving much worry and suffering. So even if
Love it.
the alcoholic don't get sober, they went after that family. And I tell you, Ann Smith, when they put somebody in the hospital, this is the way Ann Smith rolled. They put somebody in the hospital, the first thing she'll say is, has he got kinfolk? Yeah. She said, get him over here. Get him over to the house. Get him over here now. She said, I don't mean tomorrow. Get him over here now. And they would go get him over to the house, and she would go to work on him. Henrietta Dotson, Bill Dotson's wife, in her writings will describe Ann Smith sending for her after they went to visit Bill D up in the hospital. They got me over to the Smith house, and she said, I said it, I talked to it. Ann did the same thing with her that they did with him. She shared her experience. And she said, here's what we doing on this end of the deal. Right? So there we see it again. Another the golden thread woven through this book, the word family. So even if it didn't work out with the alcoholic, the family was not ignored. Let us continue in that work. Let us continue to get Al-Anon phone numbers, Al-Anon meeting schedules, have contacts in Al-Anon. If you haven't got them, get them. It is a part of what we do here. And we spent 3 months going through them, just about going through these 2 chapters and talking about all of the things that come about as a result of that. Okay? All right, so we're going to stop right there.